You're too naive to manage this wealth. Amanda's words cut through the air as she stood in my living room, her designer purse clutched tightly against her cream blazer. I did you a favor, Sarah. That land was just sitting there doing nothing. I stared at the documents scattered across my coffee table, my hands trembling as I processed what my sister-in-law had just confessed. The 50-acre property my grandfather had left me, the beautiful Montana wilderness I planned to preserve, had been sold without my knowledge or consent. And Amanda, my husband Tom's sister, was standing here acting like she'd done me a service. You forged my signature, I said, picking up one of the papers, my voice steadier than I felt. You actually forged my signature to sell property that wasn't yours. Amanda rolled her eyes, adjusting her perfectly styled blonde hair. Oh please, it's not like you were doing anything with it. Do you know how many developers have been trying to buy that land? $1.5 million is a fantastic offer. I already processed the sale. The casual way she admitted to her crime made my blood boil. I'd never been close to Amanda. She'd made it clear from the day I married Tom that she thought he could do better than a small-town librarian. But this was beyond anything I'd expected, even from her. Where's the money? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. Her smirk told me everything. Being put to better use. I've invested it in some promising ventures. Once they pay off, everyone will thank me. You clearly don't understand how to handle this kind of wealth. I thought about my grandfather's face when he'd shown me that land 5 years ago, just months before he passed. He'd walked me through the pristine forest, pointing out the rare birds nesting in the ancient trees, showing me the crystal-clear stream that cut through the property. This land is special, Sarah, he'd said. It needs someone who'll protect it, not exploit it. He'd chosen me over my more successful cousins because he knew I shared his love for preservation. Now I failed him, let his legacy be stripped away by my greedy sister-in-law. Where's Tom? I asked, realizing my husband was conspicuously absent from this conversation. Oh, don't drag him into this, Amanda waved dismissively. He knows nothing about it, and let's keep it that way. He's always been too soft when it comes to you. I stood up, gathering the papers carefully. You really think I'm just going to let this go? For the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty cross Amanda's face. What's done is done, Sarah. The sale's been processed. The developers are already planning their project. You can't stop progress. We'll see about that, I replied, pulling out my phone. Who are you calling? Amanda demanded, her composure cracking slightly. First my lawyer, then the police. Forging documents and selling property fraudulently are serious crimes, Amanda. She stepped forward, her voice dropping to a threatening whisper. You wouldn't dare. Think about what this would do to the family. To Tom, to our parents. I met her gaze steadily. You should have thought about that before you stole my inheritance. I did not steal, she started, but I cut her off. Get out of my house, Amanda. The next time we speak, it'll be through lawyers. She grabbed her purse, her knuckles white with tension. You're making a huge mistake. I was trying to help you. That land was wasted on someone like you. As she stormed out, slamming the door behind her, I sank back onto the couch. My hands were shaking as I dialed my lawyer's number. I'd known Amanda was entitled and manipulative, but this level of betrayal was staggering. The land wasn't just property to me, it was my grandfather's legacy, his final gift. He trusted me to protect it, and somehow, I let him down. But as I listened to the phone ring, I felt a determination settle over me. This wasn't over. Amanda thought I was naive, too soft to fight back. She was about to learn just how wrong she was. My lawyer answered on the third ring. Sarah, what's wrong? I took a deep breath, straightening the papers in front of me. I need your help, David. My sister-in-law just admitted to forging my signature and selling my inherited property, and I want to press charges. The next few hours were a blur of phone calls and documentation. David confirmed my worst fears. The sale had indeed been processed, and the developers were already moving forward with their plans. But he also gave me hope. With proof of forgery and fraud, we could fight this. As night fell, I sat in my darkened living room, waiting for Tom to come home. How would he react? Would he stand by me as I took legal action against his sister? Or would blood prove thicker than marriage? I heard his key in the lock, and my heart raced. This wasn't just about the land anymore. This was about justice, family, and standing up for what's right. Amanda thought she'd gotten away with it, thought I was too weak to fight back. Little did she know, she just started a war she wasn't prepared to win. The next morning, I sat in David's office, watching him review the security footage I'd quietly gathered over the past month. I hadn't been as naive as Amanda assumed. I'd noticed small things going missing from my home office, documents being slightly out of place. So I'd install cameras, telling no one. "This is excellent, Sarah," David said, pausing the video that clearly showed Amanda rifling through my files late one night when she'd stopped by to drop off some of Tom's old mail. "Between this and the forged documents, we have a solid case." Tom hadn't come home last night. After I told him what his sister had done, he'd stood in silence for a long moment before grabbing his keys and walking out. His only words, "I need time to think." "What's our next step?" I asked, pushing thoughts of my marriage aside. I had to focus on the immediate problem. "I've already filed for an emergency injunction to halt any development on the property," David replied, shuffling through papers on his desk. "But we need to move fast. The developers have already started preliminary work." My phone buzzed. Another message from Amanda. "The developers won't stop just because you're throwing a tantrum. Be reasonable." I showed David the text. He frowned, adding it to his growing file of evidence. "She's getting nervous. Keep documenting everything." As if on cue, my phone rang. My mother-in-law, Margaret. I let it go to voicemail, already knowing what she'd say. Sure enough, her message was exactly what I expected. "Sarah, darling, we need to talk about this misunderstanding with Amanda. She was only trying to help. You know how passionate she is about real estate development. Can't we handle this within the family?" I deleted the message. Margaret had always defended her daughter's actions, no matter how outrageous. When Amanda had borrowed my car last year and returned it with a massive dent, Margaret had suggested I should be grateful for the chance to buy a new one. David's assistant knocked on the door. "The detective is here." Detective Torres was a sharp-eyed woman who didn't waste time with pleasantries. She reviewed our evidence, asked pointed questions, and took detailed notes. "We'll need to interview Mrs. Patterson," she said, referring to Amanda. "This level of fraud usually indicates a pattern of behavior. Has she done anything similar before?" I thought about all the small incidents over the years, the borrowed items that were never returned, the misunderstandings about money, the way family heirlooms somehow ended up in her possession. I should have seen this coming, I admitted. She's always pushed boundaries, but I never thought she'd go this far. "They rarely start with the big crimes," Torres noted. "They build up to them." As we left the police station, my phone buzzed again. "Tom, can we talk?" We met at our favorite coffee shop, though neither of us ordered anything. Tom looked tired, his usually neat appearance disheveled. "Amanda says she can undo the sale," he said without preamble. "If you drop the charges." I studied my husband's face, the man I'd loved for 8 years. "Do you believe her?" He ran a hand through his hair. "I don't know what to believe anymore. She's my sister, Sarah, my little sister." "And I'm your wife," I replied quietly. "She stole my inheritance, Tom. She forged my signature. She betrayed both of us. She says she was trying to help, that the land was just sitting there, that the development would benefit everyone. It wasn't hers to sell. The land was my grandfather's legacy, and she had no right to take that from me." Tom stared into his empty coffee cup. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to support me, to stand by me while I fight for what's right." His phone chimed. Probably Amanda or their mother. He didn't check it. "If you press charges," he said slowly, "it will tear the family apart." "Amanda did that when she committed fraud," I pointed out. "I'm just refusing to be her victim." He stood up abruptly. "I need more time." As I watched him leave, I realized something. This wasn't just about the land anymore. This was about every time I stayed quiet to keep the peace, every time I let Amanda's behavior slide to avoid conflict. It was about standing up for myself, even if it meant standing alone. My phone buzzed with a text from Detective Torres. "Got some interesting information about other properties Mrs. Patterson has handled. Can you come in tomorrow?" I smiled grimly. Amanda had always thought she was the clever one, the sophisticated businesswoman, while I was just the quiet librarian who'd married into her family. She was about to learn that quiet didn't mean weak, and that some people were worth crossing. The war she'd started was just beginning, and I was done playing by her rules. Detective Torres spread the documents across her desk, each one revealing another piece of Amanda's carefully constructed facade. Your sister-in-law has been busy, she said, pointing to a series of property transactions. In the past 3 years, she's been involved in at least 5 suspicious sales. But this is the first time she's been careless enough to leave such clear evidence. I studied the papers, recognizing names of other family members and friends. Amanda had apparently made quite a career out of helping people manage their property, always to her own benefit. We're bringing her in for questioning today. Torres continued. Would you like to know something interesting? Those promising ventures she claimed to invest your money in, they don't exist. My phone buzzed. Margaret again. This time I answered. Sarah, please, she began, her voice trembling. Amanda's being taken to the police station. This is a nightmare. You have to drop the charges. No, Margaret, I replied firmly. I don't. But she's pregnant, Margaret blurted out. Think about your niece or nephew. Would you really send an expecting mother to jail? I felt a cold anger settle over me. Is she really pregnant, Margaret? Or is this another one of her manipulations? The silence on the other end was telling. Later that afternoon, I sat in David's office as he delivered the news. The developers had withdrawn from the project after learning about the fraud investigation. The sale was being reversed. My grandfather's land would be returned to me. But that's not all, David said, a slight smile playing on his lips. Remember how we did a full audit of Amanda's finances? We found your $1.5 million. She never invested it. It's sitting in an offshore account along with money from her other deals. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. So it's over? Almost. Amanda's facing multiple fraud charges. She's trying to negotiate a plea deal, but with the evidence we have, he shrugged. She'll be lucky to avoid jail time. Tom was waiting outside my house when I got home. He looked different, older somehow, but also more resolute. I've been talking to some people, he said as I approached. Other victims of Amanda's help. I had no idea how long this had been going on. How many people she'd hurt. I unlocked the door, letting him follow me inside. I'm sorry, he continued. I should have stood by you from the start. She's my sister. I wanted to believe her. I know, I said softly, but sometimes the people we love aren't who we think they are. The family's in chaos. Mom's still trying to defend her. But Dad, he shook his head. Dad's looking into his own accounts now. Apparently, some of his retirement funds are missing. A week later, I stood on my grandfather's land, breathing in the crisp Montana air. The developers hadn't gotten far, just a few survey markers that could easily be removed. The stream still ran clear, the birds still nested in their ancient trees. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Local woman pleads guilty to multiple counts of fraud. Amanda's perfectly composed mugshot stared back at me. She didn't look so sophisticated now. Tom wrapped an arm around my shoulders. What are you going to do with the land now? I smiled, pulling out the paperwork I'd been working on. I'm turning it into a conservation trust. My grandfather always said this land needed protection. Now it'll have it, legally, permanently. He would be proud, Tom said quietly. You know what the funny thing is? I said, watching a pair of eagles soar overhead. Amanda always thought I was naive because I didn't want to develop this land. She never understood that some things are worth more than money. As we walked back to the car, I received one final text from Margaret. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed our family. I typed back a simple response. No, Margaret. Amanda did that. I just exposed the truth. Tom read the exchange over my shoulder and squeezed my hand. You know what? You're absolutely right. Standing there, with my grandfather's land secure and my husband by my side, I felt at peace. Amanda had thought she could take advantage of my quiet nature, my desire to keep the peace. Instead, she learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous when crossed. Her betrayal had cost her everything, her freedom, her reputation, her family's trust. Meanwhile, I had everything I needed. My inheritance, my integrity, and the knowledge that sometimes fighting back isn't just an option. It's a responsibility. The truth had won out, and that was worth more than any amount of money Amanda could have stolen.